Hugh, first off, congratulations for a very winning performance and a very remarkably entertaining film.
Oh, good, thank you.
And I'm curious now, what words of warning, if you will, would you give audiences not to expect Four Weddings and a Funeral Part 2, but to expect something equally delightful, but different?
But different. Well, yeah, I mean, people have, for some reason, however many press releases one sends around saying it's not a sequel to Four Weddings and a Funeral. Everyone always writes the Four Weddings and a Funeral sequel. And it isn't that. It's none of the same characters and it's none of the same story. It is a totally different story. And I don't know, I suppose in a way it has some of the same sensibilities. It's got some of the same humour and romance and sort of Englishness. But it's a little more mature. It's got a little touch of sadness and even a little bit of edge as well, in terms of what it says about, the media and celebrity and that kind of stuff.
Now, not to disparage your other remarkable leading ladies, but I don't think you've ever achieved this sort of rapport and rhythm with another actor since Emma Thompson in Sense and Sensibility. I think that you and Julia just really are simpatico here.
Oh, well, I'm glad you thought that. Yeah, I mean, you never know what's going to happen, but I do remember she was going to do Shakespeare in Love years and years ago, 8 years ago or something, in a previous incarnation of that film. And I went to audition when I was a completely unknown actor and met her. And although I didn't get the part and was utterly intimidated by her, we did get on quite well. And we met each other again a few years later after Four Weddings had come out. She came up at Pinewood and gave me a big hug because she was sort of pleased for me. And so, although I was really scared when she arrived on this film, I sort of knew that deep down we liked each other and would get on.
You mentioned that, among other things, this is a movie about fame, and I can't help but remember the first time we met years ago at Sundance Film Festival. Right. We were able to sit down in a restaurant for, I think, a couple of hours, people coming and going. And I remember at the time thinking, if this movie takes off, this is probably the last time he's ever going to be able to be out in public like this. Was I right? I mean, has fame been a daunting thing for you?
Well, I mean, there are elements of it which are quite daunting, quite startling, the sort of lifestyle changes you have to make. But on the other hand, a lot of it's lovely. It's nice not to have to worry about money so much, and all those perks. I've always been a bit of a sucker for those perks. Yeah.
Well, outside of finding your face being somehow computer superimposed on a bare-chested male model in a German film magazine, what's been the most surprising thing about being famous? What were you least prepared for when fame walked in?
I don't know. I don't know. I suppose it was. I suppose I wasn't really prepared for how immediately you, as a person, suddenly becomes Hugh Grant, the sort of public figure, and that in fact, the longer it goes on, the further and further away these two people drift, until by the end, I have absolutely no recognition of this Hugh Grant that's written about and on the television and stuff like that, because it really becomes so utterly different. Because journalists, and I think it's something Julia Roberts says in the film, no stories ever go away, even if they're false. Someone looks them up, they're all computerized now, and so wrongnesses perpetuate themselves, and it is like Chinese whispers until you end up with this hilariously different public persona.
Well, I can only say the right thing to say about you right now is you're very, very fine in a very wonderful film. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Oh dear. I still have it framed in my